Welcome to Country's Family Reunion 2010. Can you believe it's been 13 years since we had the first reunion? Wow, so many great memories. And yet somehow year after year, the reunions just get better and better. With a whole new group of country music legends, plus all the reunion favorites you've come to know and love, this gathering just might be the best yet. So sit back and relax as we share some stories, songs, moments that'll touch your heart. Welcome to Country's Family Reunion 2010.
Everybody's invited. Everybody's here. Yeah. Have y'all noticed that other than his shirt, T. Graham Brown has been very quiet today?
He has been. Very unusual.
Is the shirt making a statement for you?
No, I've just been taking it all in.
Been chilling.
Yeah, chilling.
I miss your little red tam that you wore the last time we were together.
I left it at the house. Sheila took me to get a haircut yesterday, and she said, just have your regular hair. And I said,
She pick out your socks, too?
I quit wearing socks years ago. Or my ankle's pretty.
I like the shoes.
Yeah, I do.
They don't
too.
say much, but
No.
Don't they get cold?
No, I don't ever go outside.
What's going on here,
I don't ever
dude? Y'all
go
quit
outside.
picking on, dude.
Oh, they're not picking. They
you
love
know,
me.
T's my nephew, you know that.
No.
Yeah.
Jim's very, Uncle Jim, I call him.
Yeah.
Uncle Jim. I call him Uncle Jim.
He's been so sweet. I love you very much. He's
Let
been
me tell
so
y'all
sweet to
something.
me.
Don't ever ride very far with him. I rode with him, excuse me, from South Florida one night, and he would not, I didn't sleep one single bit. All the way from South Florida to Nashville. He kept me up all night long. He asked me 10,000 questions.
Well, I never knew anybody that knew Elvis, really. there was a lot I wanted to know.
What'd you find out? Tell us.
Well, the best thing I liked about it, can I tell a story about the car right quick? So, you know, he knew Elvis before Elvis even was doing much, you know. And so Elvis, their car broke down, I guess, and your
wreck.
house was in Arkansas, Missouri. Where was it?
They had a wreck. The tractor trailer pulled out in front of them, and they hit that. And
Anyway, Jim Ed's daddy had just bought a brand new car, like brand new. And so Elvis came by the house, can I borrow your car for, what did he say, 2 days?
Yeah.
So he takes off on tour, and, you know, the 2 days go by, and I think a week went by, and 2 weeks went by. How many weeks finally?
Well, it was about 17 days.
And so he finally brought it back and had 3,000 something miles on it, I think. So just stuff like that he was telling me. And we were watching that Walk the Line movie in the car that night, in the van that night, and he was calling BS on about half of it. That never happened. That never happened.
When Jim Ed and Elvis were together at the Louisiana Hayride, there wasn't a woman south of Texarkana that was safe. You know that,
Uncle
don't you?
Jim's
Did he tell you
smooth.
about that?
He's smooth. No, he didn't tell me about that.
Maxine did.
Oh, I got to tell.
That's not true.
I got to tell you.
I did not. I didn't pick up where Elvis left off. Stop it.
So Vince and I have been mocking you for a long time.
Oh.
You call it, you know, yeah, but we just tease. And so, I mean, really, we've been doing it since the mid-'80s, you know, impersonating you. So anyway, I borrowed your bus one time. I don't know if this is how you found out or not, but I borrowed your bus one time, and we had a boom box, and one of my band members was interviewing me, and I was being Bill Anderson. and it was pretty blue. I mean, it was some stuff you never would say in a million years. And then, on purpose, we left the cassette in the bus cassette deck, hoping you'd hear it. So, so I don't know if you ever did. So anyway, you wrote this great autobiography one time. What, 20 years ago, 50? When was it? The one. It was great anyway. And I grew up in Georgia, and I've always admired Bill. And so I read this book cover to cover, very absorbing. All the stuff he used to do, like write postcards, answer every fan letter, all that stuff was really, I thought, man. And so Sheila bought it for me, and she took it by your office to get you to autograph it. She brought it back to me. It was a gift, you know. So I wrote, it was a quick read for me, and I read it on the bus. And so the next time I was at the Opry, I didn't know you very well at all. And you came up to, I came up to you, and I said, how you doing, Bill? And I just wanted to tell you, I got your autobiography, and it was great. I read, you know, cover to cover, it was great. And Bill went, well, your wife brought it by the office to get me to autograph it, and I didn't know that it was a gag gift. He said, I didn't know that it was a gag gift because I understand you do this impersonation of it. And so he's shooting daggers at me. I'm telling you, I was scared. And so I said, no. I love you. And I quoted him some things out of the book so he'd know that I had read it, you know. And I said, I love you. It's all in fun. And his gaze softened, you know. And we've been great friends ever since. But boy, he scared me that night.
We've been great friends because I never found that tape.
Good. I'm glad.
I love you too, and all of us love to hear you sing. Lay a song on
Bill,
us.
it's under the front desk.
I'm going to go up there.
Unplug.
I'm already unplugged.
All right.
T. Graham unplug.
All right, y'all know the one we're doing, right?
Yeah,
Anyway, I really like this song. We had a good hit on it back when. Do that one more time. Oh, I wish that I could hurt that way again. At least I had you every now and then. And in between the sorrow, there always was tomorrow. And as long as there's tomorrow, there's no end. And Lord, I wish that I could hurt that way again. Oh, I wish that we could play that game again. Even though I'd always lose and you would win. In times you would desert me, how the emptiness would hurt me. But your coming back was always worth the pain. And how I wish that I could hurt that way again. 'Cause I'd love to hear you tell me you don't need me anymore. Just like you used to tell me every day. And I'd love to watch you leaving like 100 times before. At least my eyes could see you walk away. Oh, I wish that I could hurt that way again. At least I had you every now and then. And in between the sorrow, thank God there was tomorrow. 'Cause as long as there's tomorrow, there's no end. And Lord, I wish that I could hurt that way again. Yeah, baby.
They called Jeannie Seeley Miss Country Soul. There's Mr. Country Soul. A lot of soul in there, man.
Yes.
So good.
Nervous.
You're nervous?
I am nervous.
Is that the reason you sing so good?
Just keep being nervous, then. That was good.
Singing good's a God gift, so I don't take credit for that. But
What are you nervous about?
I don't, being around you.
Now, wait just a minute. Let's get something straight. I'm not a bad person.
You kind of scared me. Hey, while ago.
I'm just a very truthful person.
Oh, I'm just teasing. I love you, Miss Jean. So anyway, Miss Jean was coming in a while ago, and she said, "Where am I supposed to sit?" So I said, "Won't you sit on my lap?" And she said something about her being too fat or something.
I
which
told
is
you
a
I'd
lie.
squash you.
And so she went over there, and then as soon as she walked off, Jim had said, "You couldn't handle it."
How does he know?
Let's move right along. Barbara Fairchild, you've added a lot to our little circle today with several things you've said, but you haven't sung, have you?
Not yet. Can I talk before I sing? Have we got time?
Don't you usually?
Well, usually. But, yeah, Roy and I have a saying at home, lose your breath, lose your turn. So that's how we live. But I just wanted to share something with you that we just got back from Guatemala. We went on a mission trip over there with Compassion, which is they get sponsorship for children. And in the earthquake in Haiti, they had 68,000 children that were sponsored there, which, you know, and we don't know the full impact that it's had. And it was an amazing trip for us, and we went to 3 different centers for children there, and every one of them sits in the shadow of an active volcano. And so we would see the steam and stuff, and I said, "Don't that worry you?" You know, and they said, "No, not as long as it's doing that. It's letting pressure off," you know. So, but on the funny side of this thing, because it was glorious seeing all these children and doing things for them, but we rode in a bus. And, you know, we've all spent a lot of time on buses and with different types of drivers, but I've never experienced anything like this. And a 2-lane road, I found they don't care about lines, they don't care about curves, they don't care about hills, and they don't care about other traffic. And so when we first took off, there was 28 of us plus the people that went to interpret and all this stuff for us. And so I'm spending part of that trip with turning around and asking questions about the children and all these things that we're going to do. So I wasn't looking at the front. And so after we visited for a while like that, well, I just turned around and relaxed. And I was sitting behind the driver, and I'm just kind of leaning there. And oh my God, my life flashed before me several times on that trip. Because when they pass, you'll see people coming toward you, not very far from where you are, and that means absolutely nothing to the driver. And I'll never forget seeing this one, like, okay, so here's this vehicle, and we need to get in over here. And so we got in, but the guy in front did not, and then the car just pulled over on the other side there. Pulled over, so we were 3 wide going across. And they will also pass you on the other side of the road, on the edge there, if there's room. And this was just a constant thing. And I thought I'd ridden with some bad bus drivers in my life, but I'm telling you what, that took the cake. So I told my friends back home, it's a good thing you're praying for us because we need it every single day that we're here. I just wanted to share that. Don't have a thing to do with this song. But I will say this about all these great songs that folks have been doing. One thing I appreciate about country music, and a lot of what the world has lost in music, and it's these, even the cheating songs, which I'm about to sing one, there's great lessons in the songs that these folks used to write. And like I remember who it was, Charlie, I think, that was talking about the truth in the Louvin Brothers music, the reality and the truth. And there's so much can be learned from a country song. And so this is one of those songs. I recorded it. It didn't make it to the top of the charts. It was doing really good. And then Christmas hit. You know, we're used to Christmas could really affect your record. Yeah. And this is one of mine that was affected by Santa Claus. You know, and so anyway, but it's a great song. And I need to stand up to sing it. And I hope I can sing since I breathed all that volcano dust just a few days ago.
Cheating is a thing that starts when you bring two lonely people face to face with a brand new kiss. She blames him, he blames her, and neither one is ever quite sure which way it really is. And all of the time in the back of their minds, they know they're gonna have to lie about where they've been. Cheating is a thing that'll take a little ring and break it into pieces that'll never go together again. Cheating is a part of love and the stars, when true love isn't what lovers are looking for. A stranger here, a stranger there, then you turn around and swear that you'll never go back for more. And lying at night when you're holding him tight is something that a cheater's heart just has to learn. Cheating is a thing that's guaranteed to bring two unhappy people to the point of no return. The sad little kids hanging in the middle while mommy and daddy choose. Cheating is a game where nobody wins, and the ones that aren't big enough to play are the ones who lose.
Beautiful. You're right. A lot of lessons can be learned from country songs.
Who wrote that song?
Rafe Van Hoy.
Oh, yeah.
He was
Jim
just
Ed,
a really young guy when he wrote that. And I thought, Lance, what insight.
Yes, sir.
What lessons can we learn from barroom pals and good time gals?
Well, I recorded this, Bill, especially for some friends down in San Antonio, Texas. But I love Texas, and I used to go down there an awful lot, you know, and play the dance halls and all, and loved that because I could sing for 4 hours, you know, and until Willie Nelson came along and stopped anybody from taking an intermission, and then the 4 hours became really 4 hours. Hey, anyway, can I tell a story? Yeah. Before I do this, we got time. She talked for a minute. I'm gonna talk for a minute.
Am I your standard? No.
You're a good one. I played San Antonio one time for K-Bear. I know a lot of people in here have played San Antonio for K-Bear radio down there. But anyway, I was down there and they were having a beauty contest. And this was back in the time whenever the radio stations, country radio stations, were having beauty contests, and then they'd send the winners to the finals. Well, anyway, We had played Shreveport, Louisiana the night before, and my drummer had got with Roy Clark, and they kind of got to imbibing a little bit. And Roy said, "Could I get your drummer, take your drummer, and fly him into San Antonio tomorrow with me?" Because Roy had his plane then. And I said, "Well, if you'll be sure and have him there on time, because we go on before you do, So he said, "I will." So anyway, they imbibed all night long, and the morning before, and all this other stuff. Well, anyway, we got down there. They had this contest, and one of the girls didn't win, and she got mad. And when she walked off stage, she took her banner, the thing that the ladies wear, across, and she threw it in the wastepaper basket. Well, my drummer, he wasn't thinking too straight. And he got that banner and he put it on, and he danced across the stage while somebody was on stage. Ooh. Well, that didn't go too well. Oh, no. The fellow that was the manager of K-Bear Radio saw what was happening, and he came to me and he said, "You will fire that young man." And I said, "Well, yes, sir, I will, but as soon as I get home." He said, "No, you're going to fire him now. You're not going to go back on, you're not going on stage tonight with him playing drums." And I said, "Well, he's my drummer, and I'll you can't tell me who to fire and who to hire, but you can fire me." Well, anyway, we go out on stage and we do Papa Top. Papa Top's a big record at that time, Papa Top is a monster. And whenever I go into Papa Top, that whole crowd, the cowboys started throwing hats. The girls started jumping up and down, shouting. They were dancing in the aisles and jumping up on the seats and all. And when I come off stage, he said, "You cannot sing that song tonight." I said, "What do you mean I can't sing that song tonight?" He said, "Well, the fire marshal was with him and the chief of police, and they said, because you're going to start a riot." So I didn't get to perform that night because my drummer, number one, he had called me, and Papa Top was too big a hit for him. So, but San Antonio, I love San Antonio, Texas. Now you want me to sing a song, don't you?
Yeah.
One more question.
Okay.
Did you get paid?
No. Half. Just got half. Did you know K-Bear? You knew K-Bear.
Did your piano player make it to the gig?
My drummer made it. He's the one that got the thing and put it on.
Did you keep him after that?
No, and he's on the ship. He's on a boat now down in South Florida, doing taking people out, fishing.
Was Max Gardner still with K-Bear?
Do not know about that, but anyway,
Sing.
my drummer didn't stay with me very long. He was a character. I'd like to do this song. This is a song I did especially for some friends down in San Antonio, Texas, and I love the two-step. Here we go, fellas, if you please. Fancy lace on fancy ladies, dandy dads in black bow ties. That's the champagne life you wanted. I was fool enough to try. I should have known I'd never make it. You can't change beer to wine. I don't belong in your world, so I'm going back to mine. To barroom pals and good time gals, slow dancing all night long, honky-tonks filled with smoke, and good old country songs, sharing beer, smiles and tears, until the morning comes. I'm going back to barroom pals and good time gals. A violin is just a fiddle, only played with different hands. The violin belongs in your world, but I'm just a fiddle man. Fancy clothes can only hide me. They can't make me fit your plans, and the life I'm going back to, you could never understand. Barroom pals and good time gals, slow dancing all night long, honky-tonks filled with smoke, and good old country songs, sharing beers, smiles, and tears, until the morning comes. I'm going back to barroom pals and good time gals. I'm going back to barroom pals and good time gals.
What is it about a shuffle? I was looking around the room. It's an old 4/4 shuffle, we call it. Every toe in this room was tapping. Everybody was keeping. There's just something about those kinds of songs.
Well, a little more and I'd have been up dancing. Jeannie's a good dancer.
We weren't going to talk about that. No, I loved the two-step. One time, a friend of mine asked me to dance. And of course, like so many of us, we spent all the time on the bandstand and didn't really learn to dance well. And I said, I don't think I know how to two-step. And he said, you can't write leaving and saying goodbye and not know how to dance a two-step. So that's when first I knew what it was.
We've got a fella sitting behind me over here. This is the first time you've been a part of our circle at the family reunion. Extremely talented guy. All the guys are jealous of him because he's such a good-looking dude.
Yeah, but he's got that hair, you know.
Billy Dean. Great to have Billy Dean with us. You came to Nashville when?
I was 19 years old. Probably, I guess I was around 1982. First couple appointments I had, they said, go back and come back when you're 30 because you hadn't lived long enough or have enough scars to sing country music.
Can you
of course,
imagine saying that today?
Ray Benson said, you got to be an embryo to be in country music today. But I'm sure glad I got here when I did because it was a great education, especially it was the songwriters in Nashville that kind of opened up their arms and welcomed me here, and there was so many guitar players and singers, but it was the writers that kind of helped me get started.
You're from Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm from the panhandle of Florida, a little town called Quincy, Florida, right by Tallahassee.
Did you grow up listening to country music?
I sure did. My dad, whose name was Billy Dean, had a band for 28 years. They play a square dance at the American Legion Hall, and they never missed a Saturday night. Except one time, and that's because they had a hurricane, and that was the only reason they missed the Saturday night. But I grew up all the crooners, Marty Robbins, Ray Price, and Jim Reeves, and guys like that. Merle Haggard was my guy, and so I got a good education on country music because of my dad.
I didn't know till just a while ago you were telling me you and Larry Butler did some work together.
Yeah, Larry was my first producer when I came. I didn't have a record deal at the time, and we were close. They wanted to cut some sides, and the guy, Jimmy Gilmer, who sang Sugar Shack, I think Sweet Talk Larry into going in and taking a nobody in, cutting a couple of sides. Of course, I knew all of Larry's work and the unique sound of his records, and of course I loved Kenny Rogers. Kenny was huge when I was growing up, so it was the first time we got to work together.
Well, you're a joy to work with, Billy.
What did you see in him at
Tell
that
everybody
point?
that, Larry.
The ability to transfer emotion. A lot of people have good voices. A lot of people can sing good, but the ability not just to sing good, but to convey the emotion that the writer put into the song. That's the difference. In fact, if a person can do that very well, they don't really have to have that good a voice. It's the transmitting of emotions. If we don't make people smile, cry, or laugh with our music, we're not making music, we're making noise. And he makes music.
Thanks, man.
Share some of it with us?
I sure will.
You've had
You
some
bet.
wonderful songs.
So this is a song that Richard Lee, who was on the Songwriter show the other night, he and I wrote this, and I just finished an album of all of Richard's songs. It's called Billy Dean Sings Richard Lee, and just because he's had such a big impact on country music, and he wrote my first hit, and I thought it was time to do him a little justice in singing some of his songs. But this is the first thing we wrote together called Somewhere in My Broken Heart. You made up your mind, it was time, it was over, after we had come so far. And I think there's enough pieces of forgiveness somewhere in my broken heart. I would not have chosen the road you have taken. It has left us miles apart. And I think I can still find the will to keep going somewhere in my broken heart. So fly, go ahead and fly until you find out who you are. And I will keep my love unspoken somewhere in my broken heart. And I hope that in time you will find what you long for, love that's written in the stars. And when you finally do, I think you will see it's somewhere in my broken heart. Wait one. I will keep my love unspoken somewhere in my broken heart. And I hope that in time you will find what you long for, love that's written in the stars. Oh, and when you finally do, I think you will see it's somewhere in my broken, somewhere in my broken, somewhere in my broken heart.
Good.
Hey, don't forget, there's a store down below. You can get Country's Family Reunion and Larry's Country Diner stuff.
Stay there. Stay there. You're not going to get off with one song.
Good. The blood's just now getting down to my legs.
Do they still call you Billy the Kid after the song that you did back
Oh yeah, that was good. I grew up Haroldine, I believe it or not, and William Haroldine, and my dad's name was Billy. But when I came to Nashville, they said, "Man, Haroldine is just not going to cut it as a stage name." But I was named after one of my dad's brothers who was killed in World War II, and so I never liked the name either. But I never would say anything to my dad about it. But when my dad passed and everything, I changed my name. I'm a William, so I changed my name to to Billy, and he always wanted to make it to Nashville. He already had 3 kids and stuff. So I've gotten to see my old man's name up in a lot of different places out in Vegas and stuff. And so Billy the Kid was really written about Haroldine, the kid I was when I arrived in Nashville.
That's interesting. You've had so many good songs. I think, didn't Richard Lee and you write together the We're Only Here for a Little While?
We didn't write that one together. He wrote that with Waylon Holyfield, and I demoed it. I was a demo singer, kind of graduated from playing the clubs to doing sessions, singing sessions in Nashville. And I demoed that song, and Kathy Mattea had it on hold, and just fortunately, it came off of a hold, and Capitol had about 3 or 4 artists, and they all threw us out there on the radio about the same time, and it was around the time the first Gulf War came out, and Only Here for a Little While stuck, and I'm sure glad it did.
Great song. And the song about the kids.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
Billy the Kid, but
Right.
the
I know, there's a lot of, looking back, I've always I had Billy the Kid. My first album was called Young Man. I did a Guy Clark song called Men Will Be Boys. And I guess I've been always intrigued by the innocence of kids, and why, I don't know, but I love kids. And I was coming out of a store out in Smithville, Tennessee, and Richie McDonald, who is the lead singer for Lone Star, I had been off the road for a few years trying to be a good dad, and just sort of putting the country music thing on the back burner for a while, because like Benny, I had gone through a divorce, and it's a tough thing, and so I was home for a while, and Richie and them, their career was just taking off, man. I mean, Lone Star, they had Baby I'm Amazed by You, and he was running faster than he knew what to do, and he had his kids were a lot smaller, and he didn't know how to weigh everything out, and so he said, "Man, I got a verse and a kind of a sketch of a chorus." And I said, I don't know anybody else to write this with but you. And so we wrote it, and since it was his idea, I said, man, this is your song. No matter what, this is your song. And so they cut it, Lone Star cut it. And I was in the studio, and I called him up, and I said, man, I'm in the studio, and I'm kind of a song short. And if you don't mind, I would never put this out without your permission, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut a track on it while I'm in the studio. But I hope you guys release it, because they were on fire. I wanted a Lone Star single really bad, And so we did. I cut it, and several months later, he called me up and said, would you believe it? They're not going to release it, Let Them Be Little, as a single. So I scurried and found my tracks and beefed them up and put a new vocal on it, and Curb put it out, and it had been my first hit in like 6 years. I hadn't had a hit out in about 6 years, 2004, and I'm sure glad Richie made that call that day, because it's been a cool song. So I'll do it with you, boys. I can remember when you fit in the palm of my hand. You felt so good in it, no bigger than a minute. And how it amazes me, you're changing with every blink. Faster than a flower blooms, they grow up all too soon. So let them be little, 'cause they're only that way for a while. And give them hope, give them praise, give them love every day. Let them cry, let them giggle, let them sleep in the middle. But let them be little. See, I've never felt so much and one little tender touch. I live for those kisses, your prayers and your wishes. And now you're teaching me how only a child can see. Tonight while we're on our knees, all I ask is please let them be little, 'cause they're only that way for a while. And give them hope, give them praise, give them love every day. Let them cry, let them giggle, let them sleep in the middle. Oh, but let them be little. And so innocent, a precious soul, you turn around and it's time to let them go, like a little Matt there, Gary. So let them be little, 'cause they're only that way for a while. And give them hope, give them praise, give them love every day. Let them cry, let them giggle, let them sleep in the middle. Oh, but let them be little. Let them be little.
Billy Dean. Oh, man.
Say, Billy, what kind of guitar is that you're playing?
That is, by the way, that is a Gibson,
thought-
G-I-B-S-O-N. I was admiring, by the way, Doug, was admiring your beautiful Gibson over there. And our two Gibsons make a lovely pair.
Where could you call to get one?
I think there's an 800 number, right? That I believe, I'll share it with you.
Thank you.
How much is Gibson paying for all of this today is what I want to know. Obviously, you have an endorsement deal.
Yes.
The Riders in the Sky have an endorsement deal.
Is it
with-
obvious?
What makes you say that, Bill?
If those two Gibsons mate, you'll get a Taylor.
Oh, I don't think so.
That's great.
You know, it's kind of funny looking back over the years and being in this room today with the Charlie Louvin and Melba Montgomery singing duets together. Jim Ed Brown and Helen Cornelius a little later on in this taping session. Jeannie Seeley and Jack Green are going to sing together. I don't know what it was back in the 60s and 70s. Just kind of seemed like if a guy and a girl were on the same label, they ended up getting you to record together. I don't know how you and Helen started recording together.
Very strange.
Chet Atkins.
Chet Atkins found a
yeah.
song and he gave it to Bob Ferguson. Bob Ferguson called me one day and he said, Jim Ed, I got a song that I think's a hit. Why don't you come down and listen to it? So I jumped in my car and I did. And I said, oh, what a great song, you know. And I said, Bob, I'm in all next week. You think we can get all, you know, everybody together and record it? And he said, wait just a minute. He said, I want to do this as a duet. Well, that kind of floored me because I was doing everything I could to break away from the, you know, from Maxine and Bonnie and all anyway. And he said, I want to do this with Helen Cornelius. And my mind was not thinking real clearly. And I said, Helen who? And he said, I want you to do this with Helen Cornelius. Well, he picked up the phone, and I guess he called her because he said, Helen,
what?
he said, if you
You
no,
know what?
no, wait, I'm telling you a
I
story.
know that.
He said,
But
he
since
said, Helen,
he called
if you,
me, I know what went
Helen.
on in the conversation.
yeah, but I was telling,
But he would talk to me. And he said, Helen, he said, I have found this monster duet.
He did
And
tell
he
you.
said,
Well, first he said a song. I want you to come to Nashville and record. And I said, great, when? And he said, well, it's a duet. And I said, really? He said, yes, with Jim Ed Brown.
Yeah, that's right.
And I said, the Jim Ed Brown?
Jim Ed who?
And he said, yes. And I said, who in the world is it?
No, you didn't.
Okay, the song was "I Don't Want to Have to
Yes.
Marry You." Was number one. Y'all became the duet of the year.
And he didn't want to sing with me, but he likes to now.
You know what? I realized something. They're happier this way than if they'd have married.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Well, I
Are
know
you
you're
kidding?
already married, but I realized it would have ruined just a wonderful relationship if y'all would have married.
Sure, look at us.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No.
Well, it wouldn't have ruined it. He'd be 6 feet under.
No, because they act married in the middle of their conversation, but they can go to their own homes.
That's exactly.
Gene Shepard just leaned over and said something very profound. I was remembering the song that you and Ray Pilla did, but you and Ferlin Husky had probably the first male-female duet on the Dear John letter. It sold millions.
Y'all ain't never lived till you recorded with Ferlin. Don't never go on the road with him.
No.
You have 2 people, don't you?
Or Simon.
He'll get up and put a quarter in the jukebox and dance to it. Get right out in the middle of the floor of a restaurant and dance.
We were eating one time way
I
out
thought,
in
what
West
if my
Texas.
mother and daddy turned me loose with?
We were on a show out in West Texas one time with Ferlin and a whole bunch of us, this way back yonder. And we walked in this restaurant after the show that night, and it was kind of late, and we all sat back in this one, room kind of secluded from everything else. And the waitress had gone all the way around, and Ferlin had ordered some chicken, soup. And so whenever she finished up, she was walked back by Ferlin, and he kicked up his foot, and he said, hold up that chicken and make it pee. Well, needless to say,
Thank God this is segment 4.
Well, it's a long way around me saying that I had a duet career with a couple of people, one of whom is here today, my buddy Jan Howard. Jan, come up here for a minute. Larry, what were you going to say while Jan's on her way?
I recorded Ferlin, did several albums with him, produced him. The first recording session, he's out there in the studio, and I guess, nobody told me about Simon.
oh gosh. Oh gosh.
So I'm sitting there in the control room, and I hear, I think this song's too high for you, Ferlin. And I'm looking around. He said, you really think so? Yeah, I do. And I'm going, and I'm looking out there, and I found out if Ferlin had something he wanted to say to you, Simon would say it. If it was negative, if you know what I'm saying, if he wanted to change the tempo, or if it was too high or too low, Ferlin would never tell you.
But don't let
Simon
your mother
would.
and daddy sign him as your guardian.
Who was your guardian, Ferlin or Simon?
Both of them.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I
It's the
didn't know
truth. I was underage. I couldn't leave California.
That's right.
We had a big record.
Oh, you sure you did?
And,
Well, I want to mention, when I first met Ferlin Husky, we went down to Pensacola, Florida. It was myself, Ferlin, Hank Lachlan, and Carl Smith. Bless his heart. But I tell this all the time, and I remember taking a picture of it. It was called a double reversed Oreo cookie. It had me each side. we took this. I would like to get a picture of that, but Ferlin, and I didn't know. Same view, Larry. What you say? And he was just arguing, and we were flying, and nobody else in the seat next to him. I done told you if you say anything else, I'm going to up. Nobody, I don't see nobody. I didn't know nothing about Simon.
Does anybody know where that started?
No.
he actually, for a long time, thought that Simon's his alter ego.
That's it.
Well, I know that, but I mean,
But he actually thought for years that Simon was real. You ought to ride with him and Grady Martin and a bunch of them up in Montana and take him back to fight with Simon in a big snowbank.
Well, he told me that Simon Crump was a fella he knew growing up. And he said, I just knocked the P out of Crump and made him Crump. And Simon, this fella, actually talked like that and was always saying profound things. So he just ran with it.
Was Furlan doing it to be funny, or was he?
I don't know.
Was he off in there?
Well, he wasn't funny on that plane, I'll tell you right now.
Everybody on this tour, Ernest Tubb, Red Foley, T. Texas Tyler, a bunch of us, hey, he had them all talking to Simon, but Ernest Tubb. Ernest said, I'm not talking to somebody that ain't there. But anyway, we went upstairs one night, got in bed about 3 o'clock and had to get up at 5. And, so I got on the elevator the next morning, and Ernest was on the elevator, and he wasn't feeling no pain. He hadn't felt no pain for 3 or 4 days. But anyway, we went down, and we stopped a couple floors. Furlan got on. So we got to the bottom, and the door opened. They had a guy. Back then, you had to have a guy that run the elevator, you know. Yeah. So I walked out, and Furlan walked out behind me, and he said, I'm living for the day that Ernest will talk to Simon. But he missed it. Me and Furlan walked out, and a couple other people, and Ernest stepped over and he turned around and said, come on, Simon, get the hell out of that elevator.
Some great stories. We're about to run out of time, and me and you're standing up here. I think maybe we ought to do a song. Yeah. I don't know how about you other duet people, but when Jan and I first started singing together, everybody thought we were either married or fooling around.
Yeah, right.
Or both.
Well, yeah, they thought.
And we did a bunch of these real mushy-gushy love songs to start with, and then we said, well, we got to put a stop to these rumors of people thinking that we've got a relationship going. So one day we got together and we wrote this song, and this stopped all the rumors right there.
Right there.
Dissatisfied, dissatisfied. Nothing makes you happy that I can see. Dissatisfied, dissatisfied. How long before you say that you're dissatisfied with me? Well, you liked your new dress for a while, then you say it went out of style. And you liked your new car for a month or so.
Yeah, but you know I don't like that color.
You're bored with everything we do. Nothing I do pleases you. And I wonder what'll be the next to go.
Well, one day you fly airplanes, the next day you dig baseball games, and you're always talking about that blonde next door.
She's a lovely child.
The way that you keep changing things, I wonder about your wedding ring and how long before it makes your fingers sore.
It's turning green already.
Dissatisfied, dissatisfied. Nothing makes you happy that I can see. Dissatisfied,
it's not an act.
Dissatisfied. How long before you say that you're dissatisfied with me?
I put pork chops on your plate.
Yeah, 'cause you know I like T-bone steak.
Well, you change your crazy mind from day to day.
Listen, you dingy redhead.
Redhead?
I built you a swimming pool.
Yeah, 'cause you know I can't swim, you fool.
Yeah, I know. Come over to the house and drop in sometime.
Dissatisfied, dissatisfied. Nothing makes you happy that I can see.
I can't reach that note.
Dissatisfied, dissatisfied. How long before you say that you're dissatisfied with me?
How long have I got?
Just come on out and say that you're dissatisfied with me.
Hey, wait a minute. When we recorded that, and I did the line in there about you dingy redhead, you had red hair.
Well, it changes from day to day. Whatever mood I'm in.
Oh, I see. So if I say dingy redhead now,
I just say I'm still dingy, but, you know, it depends on how I feel. You can say dingy brunette.
doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, you're right. I don't care. Dingy isn't going to change.
Ever since we got together here, starting earlier, several hours ago, Waddy Mitchell back there in the back, the cowboy poet, you added a lot right in the beginning, and you've been kind of silent and kind of quiet. And I just wonder maybe if you've got some parting words for us that may be something very special. And by the way, I learned something about you that I didn't know. You wrote some cowboy poetry for the Olympics in Salt Lake City a few years ago, and they were printed in the program there. And when Laura Bush was the First Lady, you would go to Washington and do some cowboy poetry for the people in the White House. You've got quite a list of credentials, my friend.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've been lucky. I worked for a living for a long time, and I know how good we got it.
Share something with us.
You know, everybody that takes care of animals, my dad used to tell me as a kid, if you're going to have them, you're going to lose them. But sometimes it doesn't make that part easy. From the snowdrift in the canyon behind the granite and the pinyons, past the trout and beaver where young quakies crowd to share, from the icy plaster caked across the mountain goat's dominion comes the lifeblood of our valley as it tumbles down from there. And it gurgles, almost chuckles past the granite and the boulders. Cheerfully, it detours through the ditches man might make with only gravity its master. It always knows which way to travel, warm and foamy ever downward through the slough and toward the lake. And there the bulrush stopped the ripples where the sheets of ice lay dying. The waxing sun shows promise that the winter's lost its sting. Overhead, the floating regiments of geese, formations flying, driven northward to their nesting grounds by instinct every spring. In one pasture by the water, tired, pinching horses wander. They wait for my alfalfa and the sun to conquer cold. In this middle ground between active duty and the promise yonder, they don't care too much for scenery. They're thin and tired and old. Last among these pensioners, one sorrel Gilden stumbles with swollen knees and seedy toe. You can see why he's so lame. He's lost his youth, but not his dignity. He would die before he humbles. He's my dad's top saddle horse, and Woody is his name. I never cared too much for Woody. He's not the kind of horse I cling to. He's hard to catch and fussy, and he sure never made a pet, but he could jump at cattle. And that was one thing that he would do. He had the heart of giants. I can still recall it yet. We were gathering cabby heifers from a close and handy pasture, bus rode bronco Woody, because he had a lot to learn. One heifer broke. They ran to head her, held their ground, and stopped disaster with dew claws cut in circles. They beat that cow at every turn. So she ran blind for the willows. Bus and Woody had to race her nose to nose and pushing shoulders as she made her frantic try. And they pushed her in a circle till she quit and they could face her, because Buster didn't weaken. Woody did not let her by. And now I watch him strain to shuffle. I touch the rifle beneath my seat. It's a friend to suffering horses, and at this range, I couldn't miss. He'd find green pastures in an instant. For my dad, I'd do it neat. He'd never hear the whisper You never feel that nozzler's kiss. But the cranes have come, and they're dancing. The spring sun melts away the snow. Oh, I know I'll need that rifle on some cold November day, but for a sorrel colt who beat a ringy heifer long ago, I believe I'll just go about my business until this feeling goes away.
Buddy, thank you. Wow. I've never had anything like that on any of our reunion shows. Thank you. That's terrific. We kind of started out today in a Western mode, and I think that'd be a pretty good way to wrap up if we can get Joey the Cowpoke King and Woody Paul and Too Slim and Ranger Doug with his, what make guitar is that, Doug? A Gibson guitar. I think this is a great way to wrap up this particular little visit. All of us can sing this, and folks that are watching at home can sing along too.
Well, till we meet again, Saddle Pals, from all of us to all of you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails. Everybody began to sway back and forth. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. And happy trails to you and you too, Waddy. Till we meet again. May the horse be with you.
String them up, Gene.
That's it.
Man, I've seen blank looks before, Bill, but that was that was the I've lost control and I don't really care anymore.
That was fun.
Hey, if you like that one, you're going to love this one. Or this one.